Naruto is Goku's Reincarnation Part 1, let's go. After the final battle between Goku, who has become a godly being even above the Grand Priest, and Vegeta, a being above the destruction level of any god of destruction from any universe, coming close to even the Omni King. Their fight ends in a draw, as they are now very old and have fought many battles, each one to the extreme. However, this time, it's the last straw. Their bodies could not handle it anymore, and therefore, Goku died after lying unconscious, and his soul got transported into another realm. From this, his soul traveled for many days, until he finally arrived and saw himself in the body of a newborn baby. After only mere seconds of being alive, Naruto was snatched from his mother's arm, which felt so warm, by a shinobi, a ninja. Everything after that was somewhat of a blur. He was only a newborn baby, so nothing makes sense, and he is barely even conscious. The commotion ends when Naruto is laid into a bed by his father, where he can relax for a moment. Then, a few minutes later, he gets picked up by his father once again for the tailed beast raging through the village to be sealed inside him. The nine-tailed fox is sealed into Naruto. However, his parents, after saving the village, they sacrifice their life and die. Therefore, Naruto is left to his own to survive in the Leaf Village, hated by everyone, the villagers, shinobi, and even the village leaders greatly dislike him. At the age of 4, he's declared as a demon, the embodiment of the nine-tailed beast, a monster to say. Ever since that day, he'd been beaten, verbally abused, and mistreated in every scenario possible. That has made him become stronger in a sense, as he had to, from that moment, grow up much faster. The only thing that was provided to him was a small apartment after he had been kicked out of the orphanage that cared for him until the age of 4. This apartment was provided by none other than the third Hokage, who was supposed to have promised Naruto's parents to take care of their child, though somehow, at least to some degree, failed at the task. He gave Naruto the apartment, which was nice, but other than a little bit of a monthly allowance, and sometimes helped him get groceries, nothing more. However, there was one person that Naruto liked very much. That was a chef working at the Ichiraku ramen stand. His ramen was legendary, the best in all of Konoha, and after many years of running the stand, the ramen stayed the same. Hence, it became almost a tradition for shinobi to get Ichiraku ramen together after a successful mission, or whenever there was something to celebrate. Naruto liked that place very much, and it was also one of the only places that ever gave Naruto food, as a lot of restaurants and even supermarkets refused to give Naruto any food. They didn't want to feed a demon, a monster. So sometimes Naruto didn't have food for days until Hiruzen brought Naruto food and groceries. Though thankfully, Ichiraku ramen was always a choice, and always a possibility. He was welcomed into a warm bowl of delicious ramen by what Naruto thought was the kindest man in the whole world. However, his life, of course, was not as great as he would imagine, or hope it could be. So, he was still beaten many times. However, he noticed something weird after those times. It didn't happen immediately, though a few hours, at latest a few days after he got beaten, or even just a single slap, Naruto seemed to get more and more pain resistant. It seemed to hurt less every time, and he endured the beatings for much longer. At the beginning, he became unconscious after maximum 1 minute. Later, he was able to stay conscious for 5 minutes, but that's only with normal villagers. Shinobi hit much harder, as a powerful one could still one-shot Naruto, perhaps even into death. though slowly but surely he felt himself becoming stronger. For some reason, at the same time, he also had a drive to become stronger. Of course, he wanted to be Hokage and prove everyone wrong that he wasn't a monster, but he also had a willing for power, not in any dark or quote-unquote unworthy ways, but he just wanted to become stronger, more powerful, perhaps the most powerful one ever. He would never have to endure a beating any longer, and if people respected him, or at least feared him enough, then no one would want to hurt him physically or verbally, and perhaps even if it was out of fear, people would treat him nicely. He could go around the village like a normal person, be treated like a somewhat normal person. That was all he wanted. He wanted to live a normal life, as normal as he could, of course, in this weird situation. To achieve this goal, first he started out with just doing a few push-ups here and there whenever he felt any form of motivation. Then he turned that into 10 daily push-ups. Then he started looking at what he ate, what he consumed, eating a more healthy diet. He tried to eat more vegetables, as well as enough protein for his body to develop and not just eat ramen all the time. He also looked at milk that seemed to always be expired and stopped drinking that as much, but of course he needed some of it to grow his bones strong. So, for whatever reason, he felt the need to become fit, strong, at such a young age. Naruto is now about 6 years old, and he's developed very nicely. His 10 daily push-ups turned into more and more, as he started adding more push-ups, then some other activities like sit-up. He used his own body weight as there was nothing else he could really train. At the moment, no one wanted to teach him and he didn't have any resources available, but his body weight was always there to train with, so he started with that. The change in his diet made a huge difference, and there was not just a physical change. He also started having a little bit of a change in his mentality. He took things much more seriously, not as lightly. He thought about his future very often, reflected on his actions, became somewhat cold, but also much more relaxed, calm, and focused. People around him definitely saw a change in his behavior, especially Hiruzen, who was a little bit afraid of what might happen to Naruto, as a little after it was announced that he was a monster at the age of 4, he became depressed, but at the same time did stupid things. He yelled around, started acting up for some reason, and it wasn't going great at all. But now, Naruto seemed like a completely different person. This was, of course, his Saiyan side coming in. Even stronger with Goku, who in his previous life had trained for many, many years. By the way, Naruto doesn't have Goku's memories, I just want to say that. But he of course has the Saiyan instincts, or at least a few of them. Naruto, over the months and years, has gotten stronger mentally and physically, mostly with what he started calling Zenkai Boost, as his instincts told him that that was the name that he wanted to give his power, or at least what he thought was a power exclusive to him. Whenever in a tight situation, for example a battle, the more times he experienced it, or even if it was just once, depending on how hard or difficult the situation was to overcome, or especially if he failed, for example, fell unconscious during a fight, he learned from it without even having to think. He got stronger, healed his wounds faster, adapted mentally, thought of new strategies. He just became a better fighter without even having to think or train. It was his instinct, it was his nature to become a fighter. Naruto one day saw a middle-aged man, or actually a little younger than that, training his taijutsu skills, mostly doing physical activities like Naruto had been doing for this while. Jogging, doing push-ups, sit-ups, handstands. anything that you can think of doing with your own body weight. And he looked sweaty and exhausted, yet was smiling the whole way through. There was something odd about it, and although Naruto was a little bit scared that he was gonna be beaten, Naruto went towards this man that he saw training and asked him about what he was doing. This shinobi, who would identify himself as the Jonin Might Guy, the mightiest taijutsu fighter in all of Konoha, greeted Naruto very kindly with a big wide smile, as he felt no hate towards Naruto nor anyone who lived as a normal Leaf citizen. He even convinced Naruto into training along with him, and so Naruto, till the end of the day, for over 3 hours, trained his body strength along with the Jonin Might Guy. They talked quite a bit, and Naruto seemed to, after all this time, have made a new friend, which made him very, very happy. But Might Guy also seemed very delighted at their conversation. Might Guy wanted someone to be able to carry the torch of taijutsu and the inner 8 gates and pass them on to the next generation, just like his father did, and entrusted the techniques in taijutsu style to him. Might Guy had a responsibility to do the same. But sooner or later, Might Guy would find a different contestant. But for now, Naruto and Might Guy trained every day for quite a while. Naruto's endurance got very, very good after jogging hundreds of rounds around 3 trees laid out in a triangle every single day. Naruto did many, many push-ups, walked across the lands on a handstand, and even did push-ups whilst on a handstand. Naruto was truly very gifted at taijutsu, even more than Might Guy could ever imagine, and he learned very, very quickly, and his body strength grew very fast too. And so he developed his taijutsu skills into something special. And even though he of course had the ability to use chakra like any other person, of course except for Might Guy and Lee, but we won't worry about that now, Naruto almost only focused on his taijutsu, as he thought of only training chakra if he ever actually had a reason to, and of course if there was someone that could actually teach him, as he thought reading books to learn something is not his style. He wants a practical lesson. Training in sweat, not reading some texts and old images and looking at what they mean. Naruto wants to train, not sit around and learn about what people did dozens of years ago. He wanted to do something new, unlike most people, and Might Guy seemed to understand him very well. So Naruto seemed to make a friend. He continued his life pretty normally like that, until he had to go to the academy at the age of 8 years old, where he met a whole new bunch of people. One of these would be Sasuke Uchiha, a prodigy from the Uchiha clan that Naruto had a somewhat close connection to. But after only a few conversations, Naruto knew that it would be a hard friendship to continue. Sasuke was focused, but not the same as Naruto. He was focused on revenge for his brother, who had previously massacred his entire clan, including his family, which was of course an appalling event. Terrible. But Sasuke seemed to be the shell of a kid, of a former person that he used to be. However, there is something a little bit different, in that in this story there's actually gonna be Neji Hyuga, Rock Lee, and Tenten all in the same class as Naruto. So they're gonna be mixed in the normal class. Just to mix it up a little bit, and you'll see later why. Anyways, Naruto immediately had a closer connection to Rock Lee, who seemed to share the same love for physical training as him. And although his mindset was a little bit different, and his goals different too, They both enjoyed training, and actually, after the first few days of school, and even afterwards, trained together in the afternoons. And then Rock Lee was introduced to Might Guy by Naruto himself, who knew that they would get along very well as they had similar intentions in their training, and their personalities just fit perfectly. So they became like the trio of taijutsu. Of course, the two younger ones, the ones actually improving and getting better every day, but especially Naruto, the one learning faster than Rock Lee. And yeah, whilst he did have more training at a younger age than Rock Lee did, he still learned incredibly fast. Learned new techniques, new fighting styles, his muscles improved faster, and just all in all advanced as a taijutsu fighter much faster. Anyways, that's where I'm going to leave off the video today. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. By the way, what do you think the ship should be? See ya!